Okay, welcome to the Lockdown Economy in Germany today. We are a social non-profit initiative by the think tank AlterContacts to help small businesses and self-employed professionals overcome the challenges of the pandemic and reactivate the economy. My name is Rosie Allison, and our guest today is Adriana Stein, digital marketing consultant and founder of marketing agency AS Marketing. Adriana, I'm really happy to have you with us today. Thank you for speaking with us. How are you?
Thank you also, Rosie. It's really great to be here. And I think the concept that you guys have created at the think tank is really cool. So I'm excited to hear more.
Great. And tell us a little bit more about your business, AS Marketing. What exactly do you do?
Yeah, so even though I'm based in Hamburg, Germany, I've been here for 5 years. I'm originally from the US. So I speak both German and English, and that's where I'm working now with clients, basically as a marketing consultant, and we specialize in B2B marketing strategies, especially SEO and content marketing within the industries for tech and pharma. So this last year throughout 2020 has been very interesting regarding those two industries, and one would also consider maybe they haven't changed so much, but actually what we have experienced is they have changed quite a bit.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I was going to say that maybe since you're primarily an online company, that maybe you haven't experienced that many changes. But do you want to take us through the kind of things that you've been experiencing within your sector?
Yeah, absolutely. So last year was very interesting because what happened with marketing at the start of the pandemic was everyone went, oh my gosh, we need to cut marketing, cut it all, cut it all, cut it all, because we need to save money. And the companies who decided not to do that, they realized after 3 or 4 months, wow, that was a very good idea, that paid off. And so what happened was basically largely our client base stayed, luckily, because we are working fully digitally and fully remote. Even with global companies, that was okay, but the demand basically went like 10 to 0 literally within maybe 2 weeks, and then after about 3 months or so, then it just skyrocketed. It's crazy. Everyone started to see, wow, okay, the people who really focused on digital marketing, even if they were doing it beforehand, like with the tech industry in particular, they've always been sort of on board with digital marketing because they are tech. They are interested in working with tech people also. So that kind of goes hand in hand logically. But the demand, even from that perspective, grew. So as an agency, of course, that was, I would say, a rather positive side. However, the downside to that is when you're an agency and when you're working with stakeholders, of course, who want to understand, okay, how can I make sure that my investment is worthwhile and the processes we're using are worthwhile and this is really up to date. There was really a whole new level of pressure of, okay, we need really quick results. We need to do everything really, really high quality, high level. And so it was kind of these competing, like, okay, yes, we need a lot of digital marketing, but it needs to be like way better than ever before and way more successful than ever before. So yeah, I think it was interesting kind of trying to find a balance for all of that these past months.
Definitely, yeah. So, I mean, it's good to hear that you experienced an increase in demand when many agencies, many firms were actually experiencing more of a decrease, like you
Yeah.
said at the beginning of the pandemic. But yeah, how did you manage, first of all, this sudden increase in work, I imagine, along with the challenges of the lockdown that everybody's been experiencing, and also how did you manage the expectations of people who yes, suddenly thought, okay, I'm going to throw everything into marketing and I need all of this immediately. How did you overcome these challenges?
Yeah, so I think it's still sort of in progress to overcome these challenges, but one of the things that I've done is scaling by working with freelancers. And I think that is actually a method that could really apply to any business, because hiring employees, it takes a long time to train them and to sort of get them on board with things. But when you hire a freelancer, especially a specialized consultant who likely knows your industry, has worked with other clients like yours, there's a lot less time to training, and they can kind of just jump in and get started. And so that's not even an agency tactic. It's really any business can actually use that to sort of, you know, put more resources into a certain side of their business at any one point in time. And it's also, of course, a lot better for a volatile economy because you don't have, you know, the same contractual conditions as with a full-time employee. And I think also because not everyone, but a large majority of people now, they want this flexibility in their work. And a lot of people want to work freelance. So, I mean, let people work the way they want to work, and you know, it's kind of a win-win, and that's basically how we've been able to handle it here. I work completely with global freelancers, so yeah, we can pretty much scale up or down as much as we need, and yeah, that's basically been my method for trying to handle the increased demand. But I think in terms of let's say like the reporting and the pressure from stakeholder side, that has been one of the most difficult elements as an agency. And I have had to take on really a whole new level of responsibility as, let's say, like the point of contact within the company, and just making sure that everyone is satisfied with those processes. And I think good communication is probably one of the most important elements there. And that's really, I really strive to work with this approach that, you know, we have weekly meetings, there's reporting, there's shared project management boards, and just making sure that everyone really understands, okay, here's what we're doing, here's what we need to do, and here are the results from all of these processes.
Yeah, I think that's great advice for anybody watching that's experiencing, you know, an increase in exam scaling with freelancers, and making sure that your communication systems are up and running and clear for everybody. So I wonder about your client base. Have you experienced a shift in the type of clients that you're receiving, or is it a similar demographic to the ones that you were getting before the pandemic?
Yeah, I would say there's just been this really cross-industry global demand for digital marketing services, and especially because we are working mostly on the organic side, and everyone has kind of started to realize, okay, the organic side is more sustainable, which is better for situations like the pandemic. And because we have those results also from previous clients, then finding new ones, even in new industries, has become a lot easier. And so we are now working with, we started actually with 2 new clients in the legal industry, which was before, you know, they didn't really want to do a whole lot with digital. And then there was this huge demand, even just in the last couple of weeks, from industries like this that are rather traditional, at least before COVID. And now after COVID, they kind of said, oh, okay, maybe we can learn something from these tech companies who are fully digital. And there was one we're working with that even their workforce went basically completely remote, which I think is really, really cool that you can do that with a rather service-based person-to-person business. It is possible.
Yeah, interesting. And what about your own marketing? How have you been spreading the word about your own firm? Have you made any changes into how you communicate with potential clients?
I would say the biggest thing is LinkedIn. That's probably, if you're in the B2B world at all, that's probably going to be the most successful platform in terms of networking and branding, and just spreading the word about what you're doing as a company. And not just your company profile, but really starting to develop a personal brand. That's the biggest thing that you can do, not just in the marketing world, but really probably in B2C too, because even for career development, it's really useful. But my partner, for example, he works also in the gas and oil industry, and he has done really a lot of networking on LinkedIn, and so there are a lot of job offers there as well. So that's it. I think that's probably the best place to be if you really want to improve your career, grow your business, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. So tell us a bit about how your business is going in the present day. We were discussing earlier the restrictions in Germany, quite strict now, unfortunately. So how are you finding things?
Yeah, so just for the listeners and outside of Germany, we've been under lockdown in Germany since October. I can't remember exactly, the days kind of start to run together. But we went even over Christmas and New Year's, we had a 2-person meeting limit. So that was pretty rough. Yeah, pretty isolating over the holidays, even though I was able to take a bit of a break, which is probably the number one thing I would recommend for people, is to still take breaks, especially when you are working at home and you don't have this sort of like brain space from work. And that's something I've personally struggled with a lot, trying to separate my work life balance. And yeah, they just now have also extended the lockdown further through the 14th, and then we have these special the FFP masks that we have to wear now, and you get a big fine, of course, if you don't wear them. So I think that really the best thing to do is just try where you can to take breaks. Go outside if at all possible, if you're allowed to do that. Luckily we can still do that here in Germany. We can go outside. Everything is closed, but just, yeah, try to take a walk, get some headspace. Yeah, that's probably probably the best we can do for now.
Yeah, I think it's very valuable not only to mention the the business side of dealing with the pandemic, but also the personal side. We're all in the
Yeah,
same position, working as hard as ever, sometimes harder,
yeah.
not being able to have the downtime that we would like. So I think that's very valuable advice. And what about your outlook for the coming months? Unfortunately, no one can predict what's going to happen next with the economy and with the pandemic. But do you have any projects coming up that you're expanding or anything like that?
Yeah, I would say, well, because I'm fully versed in the digital world already, there are always projects in the pipeline that are digitally based, and of course we would like to continue scaling and working with more freelancers. That model was clearly proven to be successful this year, so I think regardless of whether, however, the pandemic continues and hopefully ends at some point, the emphasis on that method is not going to change. That's really a permanent outlook, and was something that was already in the works even before that. So even if you're not in a digital first industry, let's say, I would really encourage everyone to consider what parts of your businesses can you make digital, and what can you sort of reduce your risk on by making things person to person, because who knows what is going to happen in the future. Even in the coming months with the vaccine, we don't know how long that is going to take. And of course, there are other things that can always change. History has shown that stability is temporary. So we have to prepare for that in the business world as best we can. And I think really just trying to make your processes as digital and also flexible as possible to sort of make you a bit more prepared for risk is really what I would recommend, not just in a few months, but just as long as you're in business.
Yeah, I think never truer words spoken that stability is temporary in these days. That's definitely been proven. So I think, yeah, that's perfect advice that the digital marketing can offer at least some kind of stability in these times. So you've given some brilliant insights into your industry and the ways that people can deal with the challenges of the pandemic through scaling with freelancers, communication, and also the personal side of making sure you get some headspace. But I'm sure as an independent business, there are some things that you need help with. So if you could name some things that in the current climate, you and your firm AS Marketing need help with, what would they be?
Yeah, that's hard to answer because I can give like a lot of small things, of course, but if I'm looking big picture, um, and they're so agency based. I mean, one of the biggest things is recurring revenue. I guess that's for every business. You need recurring revenue because that creates sustainability. So for me in particular, that's the biggest thing. And of course, that's really hard to predict at the moment, who's going to stay and who's going to, maybe make some changes to how we work together. And I think also just really finding the right people. That's probably the second biggest one. Finding people who have the right mindset. I think mindset is probably one of the biggest things when it comes to finding the right team members. If people are engaged, they want to be a part of a team. Everyone on our team, despite the fact that we are spread out, we do communicate regularly about what's going on. We're always open to suggestions on how to improve things as well. So I think really, finding better ways to find people with the similar mindset, and really creating that company culture, because we are working with clients too. So of course we have to sort of meet their expectations as well with the people that we are pairing on those projects. So yeah, that's probably the second. And third, I think would be probably process related. Trying to make processes more efficient, and optimize them. I think in terms of scaling, and also when you are working remotely, you need to have really, really good processes in place to make sure that everyone knows what they need to do and by when. And they're also working at a capacity that they feel comfortable with. It's not too much or too less, or they feel like, okay, here's what I have to do today, and I know what I need to do, and I have the information I need to actually finish this, and I'm comfortable with that process. So that's actually quite difficult. And I think it's always a work in progress to improve that.
Sure. Well, thank you very much, Adriana, because I think you've given us not only a very thorough insight into your particular market, the digital marketing industry, but also a lot of advice and a lot of insights that I think can be relevant to many different sectors. So I think it's been a really interesting experience speaking to you. And I'm going to link below this video some contacts that you can get in touch with Adriana on LinkedIn, as she mentioned, and also a link to her website. So please feel free to like and subscribe to this video, the AlterContacts YouTube channel, because in the coming few weeks and months, we're going to have many more small business owners sharing their insights with you. Adriana, thank you very much, like I said, for this interview. Do you have any final words for anybody watching?
Final words. I think just keep your chin up. Keep your chin up, stay strong. One of the things that has been in the back of my mind throughout this entire process is that we are sort of struggling together, and that sort of helps me to feel like, okay, even though we're isolated, I'm not alone, and other people are feeling this too. So, we're staying in this together. We're all here.
A great final message. Thank you very much, Adriana.
Thank you also. Take care.